Okay. Now what's wrong? Ah, okay. I don't know what's going on. I was hoping to get on before now. Mm. I don't understand. Can I? Well, I think I can be heard now. I'm seeing stuff. It says I can be heard now. Very funny. Very, very funny. Okay. Mm. Uh, let's try that one. And okay. Uh, let's see if that will work. This is amusing. Mm. Well, let's see if we can beat some of these energies back into the game. Okay. Yeah. Everything is moving on its own. Is this the kind of energy you have to put it with you guys until the November? Hello there.
Hi. How are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm talking to the energies. They're just having fun with it. They're having so much fun. I'm having fun, Zach. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am, oh my God. I am good. I am feeling the energies.
You still having problems with the joints?
With who?
We were talking about our left side, the left leg.
I I've been using my breathing to help bring it around. It seems when I do the breathing exercises, it helps me out. Uh, I've been doing a lot of downloading. Um, that's what I recognize that as. There's a lot of downloading going on, and um, the desire to sleep. I I can't do that and still do the functions that I have to do. But I had to go and take a nap before I started this evening. Yeah, and wow, and I'm ready to go and take another nap. I wake up very, very. I didn't know. I've been putting a lot of stock in dreams because I've been having a lot of lucid dreams lately, and so dreams were in which I am some sort of a warrior, and it's like I'm standing there with swords and shields and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, that's enough to wake you up.
Are you journaling that?
Oh my! I've got so many.
Writing that down.
I've got so many journals around here. I can't keep track of my journals. But
they said that. I think some of that they said is balancing, like the body's going back into alignment.
Yeah.
So that's why they said a lot of people are having like problems with the lower back, the hips, the knees.
Exactly. It seems that there is a level of information that's coming through that's just wow. It's very powerful stuff, and I don't know. Taking a deep breath helps me, but yeah, the knees are still the left knee is still like talking a lot. That's one way of saying it. Talking a lot. It's been talking to me. The left side is more or less back under control, but I've been told basically that yeah, this is downloading, and so this particular Lion's Gate was so unusually strong, just incredibly strong, that no matter what I seem to do to get away from all the aspects of that energy, and just can't do it. Eyes open, eyes closed. There's still a lot of information coming through. Did you gaze at the gate on the eclipse day? I mean, I know we couldn't see anything from here, but did you go out and do any sun gazing or no?
No, no, just did meditation. And I have a friend, her son went out to see to the Everglades and watch the meteor shower. That he went out because he works there, and I guess when you're away from the lights like that, a group went out there, and they said that yeah, it was amazing that you could see quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And this all the timing, like you said, of all this cosmic stuff. That's great. And then there's the full moon coming up, and they said another gateway on the 28th, August 28th.
That's right. That's right. I have. Well, it's a personal chart for myself, but that's a very significant day, the 28th of August. And all of these different dates that we're becoming aware of, these are portals that are opening. And this is like, it's time for those who may be a part of the 144 to sort of like pick up more energy, more information, more of what they need to be aware of as we continue to shift on. Wow, this is such a fantastic time to be in. It really is. I don't know. This is probably going to be the last open to the public that as far as the metaphysical is concerned. I'm going to the next one. I'm going to make it just a private channel that only certain people will be able to access. I went in on I went in on Facebook to check, just to check and see if I done everything right as far as downloading the. Oh, you didn't see. I've got to send it to you. I did a video for the Lion's Gate, and I did a video for the solar eclipse, and I put them on. You don't have Facebook, right?
No.
Okay, but I put them on Facebook, and I went back to make sure that everything was good. Because sometimes I misspell. I mean, even when I work hard at it, I have Grammarly, I have this, I have that, and I get into a hurry. Maybe that might be part of the problem. There's any excuse is a good one, and so I'll go back and look and see. Oh man, I didn't mean for it to say that. And over 1,000 people had been reached in a 24-hour period, and I'm like, oh my God, who is looking at this? But and so and somebody's actually looking at this. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Well. So it's all for a reason. I know it's all for a purpose.
Sure.
Yeah. And with what's been downloaded so far, I cannot, without notes or writing it down, I can't remember half of it. For instance, for the solar eclipse, what I did was I did a burning bowl type ceremony, and that was what was in the video that I sent out. Because this is the time when you can manifest a great many things. And I'm expecting at least 2 more. But whenever I go into YouTube after the broadcast, I always see where there have been more than the people that are in the studio, which is good. That's all good. And I'm here for a reason, I hope. I guess so. And so, but yeah, this is a time when we can manifest things. It depends on how we're focusing, if we're focusing, and what we're focusing on. And so if we spend that time in meditation and in bringing that around, and then what you do with you're familiar with the burning bowl ceremony, right?
Is that where you write? Is that where you write down something that you want, or you're going to release? I forgot which one, and then the other one is water. Okay.
You write down both. You write down what you're releasing, and then you go ahead and you dismiss that, and then you write down what it is that you are claiming, basically. And then each of those, you have a goal. Well, traditionally, I know that they use it also in the Unity churches. They usually have like a burning bowl ceremony around the holidays, Christmas, and yeah, usually around the Christmas holiday time or the New Year. And what you do is you do an affirmation, and then you set it on fire and you drop it in the bowl. Normally, there's this type of paper that you have that I forget what it's called, but it's instant combustible, and it just goes up. You blow on it too hard and it bursts into flames, that kind of thing. And so, but the intention is to focus on what you're releasing out of your life.
It's working. Yeah, no, it's seriously, it's what I said is released, like it's clearing.
Great.
Yeah, and I do feel that a little bit. I'm confused, like we were saying about the left side of the body, because I know it's feminine, is having issues with that. I do know it's just alignment with all the stuff that's coming in, like to hold more light. They said you have to, you know, the body's going to go through adjustments. But I also feel like some of it, they mentioned ancestral on your mother's side or something because it's feminine, maybe something from the past. I do feel it is some release from that lineage or some ancestral thing. I got a feeling.
Well, I can agree with you on that because I make jokes about coming from a lineage of Amazons. And yeah, and so depending on how you look at it, some people might consider me to be not as feminine as I should be in certain areas. It's just from on both sides of the family, my mom and my dad's, the women were always like, you know, this is it. This is what I say. This is what I do. You can't, etc., etc. No, no second stepping. You did what you had to do, and so goes back probably back ancestrally for at least 6 or 7 generations, and it's to balance that, to kind of soften that and bring it around. I can see where it would need to come in on the left side because, truthfully, if truth be known, certain individuals, we won't call out their names, has nicknamed me certain things that I could, that you would think that you're talking to a guy. You know, you don't call a woman a maverick usually unless they're just really hard-headed or somewhere along those lines. And so and other things in my past, I've been, yeah. But regardless of what it is, and so I can see where that would be on the left side for me, and probably for males, I'm sure as well, that are not acquainted with their feminine sides. That would be a challenge. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Now that I think about it, I seem to remember my brother complaining about his left side not too long ago. And yeah, I can see that he's definitely, he could use a little balancing on that. And
that's my have an issue with that side. It just makes sense with this is what we're supposed to be bringing in. You know, interesting. They were saying about Jerusalem. There's a lot of sacred journeys, people going over there now, which makes perfect sense because they said that's what they're trying to bring back in is that feminine balance in that part of the world. 3 major religions, it makes perfect sense.
Well,
but there's a lot of people going there now.
Well, don't quote me. I have seen information that points to there being an actual 3rd dimensional Stargate over there. Sort of like, I don't know if you ever watched that series. Oh goodness, the one where they did the time traveling through the Stargates. It was very popular for a while. I think it was called Stargate. Yeah, I remember seeing some information, some intel. Don't ask me where I've seen it. I'm somebody who reads too much sometimes, but supposedly there is an actual physical Stargate, which makes sense to me that it would be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
They also had some sightings over there in that area too recently, which would make a lot of sense what you just said, with the energy there.
Now the sightings, you know, I don't watch television, so you may have to bring me up to speed on the sightings. Where are they? Where are they?
Not too long ago, they said that there was a sighting over, you know where the Dome of the Rock is in Jerusalem. It's the mosque with the gold dome that the prophet ascended from, and there's an actual physical rock there, and they're saying that there's like a vortex of energy in that particular area, which is what they're all fighting about as far as you know, claim to that area, the different religions. But I heard there was, within, I want to say the last year or two, there was a sighting over that particular area.
Okay.
So that would, yeah, that would be interesting. I think there's going to be there's a lot of talk about, what you call it? Well, with them, you know, talking back and forth about moving the embassy and this and that, I do think that that area there is going to be a real, there's going to be a lot of discussion. But I just noticed that a lot of websites that take sacred journeys and are taking people to different places, is a lot of them are going to Israel, especially a lot of the channels, which I thought was interesting. They must be telling them to go there, to take people there.
Okay. I'm going to say this under the authority of being too nosy and reading too much and just being too curious at certain times. However, we all know that Egypt is considered to be a Middle Eastern country, but actually it's on the continent of Africa. Okay? Yep. The Gaza Strip is a long piece of land that has been under, I can't say debate, I'm being facetious. It's been a part of the territory that folks want a piece of. That if you had that opportunity to walk through the Gaza Strip, you would wind up in Jerusalem. Okay, whatever other culture is connected to that piece of the continent is going to be susceptible to the most amazing phenomena. I don't know if you've ever heard of this shaman from Zimbabwe. If he's still alive, he's got to be well in his hundreds. But he was amazing. He was introduced by David Icke, is his name? Is Icke? Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. And so I used to follow David and the Wilcox David. And so this gentleman was introduced, and his statements were, when he talked at length about how in Africa, they've always acknowledged extraterrestrials. They just never let it be known to the outside world. They even had techniques on how to deal with them if you encounter them. And it's one of the reasons that most people don't go out at night, because the ones that are left there are still, well, how should I put it? It's, in other words, it's been a part of their understanding. They've never denied it. If you've heard of the Dogons, the Dogons have been able to trace their information back over 15,000 years, but they have recorded in their history a visitation. They are familiar, they're called Dogons because they have or had sketched in their ancestral history, artwork. They have a sketching of Sirius, the dog star system. And when the connection was made because anthropologists had already gone through their culture and detailed whatever it was they felt was necessary. And then when the story, as the story goes, you can check it out online. And when the Hubble went through and started taking pictures of that constellation, it caused a aha moment with NASA, who said, "Well, where is this? We've seen this before. What is this?" And so they traced it back to the sketchings or the etchings from the caves that they had from the Dogons.
Wow.
They're in West Africa. They're still there. They guard their information, the information that they have. They guard it with their lives. But they have drawings, cave drawings of spaceships and beings that got out of the ships, and for over 15,000 years. They, like the Mayans, trace their culture back over 15,000 years. Their calendar basically has the same references because of that. And so to them, it's not a biggie. It's like, okay, they came down from the sky, they da-da-da-da-da, and then they went back, and they said they'd be back, but this is what happened with us. Okay, and so they never tried to disguise it, but now that it's become so popular, I mean, I don't believe Dogon is their actual name. It's a nickname that was given to them because they were the first culture that was connected with recognizing the dog star. And so I don't think they even call it the dog star. And I'm trying to remember what this culture's name is. If you want to, you can go online and put in the Dogons, and you will come up with all of whatever they've been cataloged. I mean, seriously, cataloged for quite some time. But it was after the Hubble that whoever made the connection and said, well, these people have information that shows that they've been observing it for a long, long time, or at least that they're aware that this is where someone else came from, then landed on this planet. So there's a lot of disclosure. I see. I don't know. I feel it, that a lot of disclosure is taking place right now, as far as our origins and connecting with 3D and 5D. Every let's see. Today is the 16th. Tomorrow is the 17th. In the Hebrew tradition, the energy that was recognized from the 31st of July, there are rituals, sun rituals, that have been practiced from that point of time. And tomorrow is supposed to culminate. Tomorrow will be, well, it's almost here. Tomorrow will be the start of another phase of another portal. And this is going to keep going. I mean, October 31st, which everyone is, you know, oh, it's Halloween, all house. It's another portal that's opened up, from my understanding and some of the teachers I've had. I know it's called All Saints Day, All Spirits Day, or this day. All Saints Day is actually November 1st. But the 31st, there is a resounding, what is the word I'm looking for? Everything is absolutely, positively open. Every portal, every dimension, every stargate that you can think of. It's like Grand Central Station in the stars. And this is one of the reasons why people who are aware of the energy that's coming through at that time, they sit down and they follow whatever rituals they have to pull on that power. And that hysterical belief in, oh, spirits are walking around on the 31st comes from, well, right about now, you can probably see anything, anybody you want to see. It depends on your sensitivity. However, the 31st goes with the alignment of what's going on with the planets. And so, yeah, you're going to be able to see any ancestor you've ever had. And my suggestion would be at that point, you want to try and be in a really positive state of mind, and you've got yourself surrounded in your light. You've got your shields up, so to speak, because things are coming through, and it's not. I'm not trying to create a fear-based mentality. My goodness, there's enough of that going around. But
Yeah.
yeah. But see, that's an energy. Fear is an energy, and there are people who don't understand that in using that energy as a source. Gesundheit. Was that a sneeze? Gesundheit. People use it. People using that level of the vibration. I think at that point they're probably not concerned with what the outcome will be, but you want to try to project the most positive outcome that you possibly can, because when you pull on energy for whatever purpose, whether you're using it in magic, and actually we're all magic or magical, it's just another word for the life force energy that's within us. And you can call it whatever you want, craft, witchcraft, voodoo, etc., etc., etc. We've got the ability, or the we carry that particular energy or ability to access that energy from within. So it's going to be whatever we call it. And the one thing that it has in common above all else is that whatever you call, you bring forth, always returns to you. So this is why this is the best reason to keep everything as positive as possible. And all of this, it really intensifies once the lion's gate starts opening, because here I'm going to probably sound like I could use a little therapy, but I've had experiences in my meditation in stargazing during eclipses where I have observed both suns. Now I know the explanation is that Sirius is the other sun that we see. If we see it, it kind of like, this is why, one of the reasons why the Lionsgate is so much of a phenomenon, because it brings about the mirroring of the other planets and the other stargates that are out there. It is a time period for us to be able to focus on what is actually there, and not to just go by, oh, well, most people don't even look at the sun. Most people, their sunglasses, yeah. I don't think sunglasses are really that good for you. There's something to wear, but there's a certain amount of sun ray that you do need to have. And so
it's super bright right now, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's good. That's a good thing. In yoga, the science of yoga, they've been teaching sun gazing for quite some time, more than an eon, I would say. But in the ancient Vedic tradition, if you start sun gazing, it assists you in connecting and focusing your consciousness, your higher self. And so if it's the first time that you've ever done it, you don't spend more than, say, 15 seconds just looking at the sun. However, as you continue to do that, the best time, the best way to look at the sun is over the ocean. If you can get to that point. Sometimes I shoot out of here at 5:30 in the morning, so I can get a look at the sun as it's just arriving over the ocean. But if you can see it, capture it just as it's coming out, that's the best time. You'll be able to pick up on the other types of phenomena that surrounds this particular stargate. It is an entry and exit point, okay? And during the Lion's Gate opening, again, it's almost like a freeway. There are individual beings that go back and forth through there. I've had I've had some experiences. If you can see a solar flare from wherever you are and you're gazing at the sun in the morning, then that's a good thing. That is activity. That is showing that the gate is open and there's energies traveling back and forth through it. And when I say energies, I mean beings, not necessarily third dimensional. Okay, this is where they're probably going to call for the therapist. But yeah, it's to, at this particular point in time, to be able to acknowledge that there is such a thing as electromagnetic frequencies and morphogenic frequencies and magic and this and that, and then to deny that it's all connected, that just you're going backwards. It's time to if you can accept that your mind has the ability to do certain things and that you have the authority for certain phenomena, you may as well just come all the way out of the closet and accept the fact that yes, there are other beings. I mean, at this point, I always, even as a child, wondered how people could accept that we are the only living, breathing species of anything, anywhere. That's not possible to me.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't even make sense. It's like saying, oh, there's only one type of tree, or only one type of flower, or only one type of food. No, we're definitely not alone. By no means. There are quite a few vibrations of energy that exist around us and within our own parameters. We are at a point now where we're learning to see them, and we're learning to acknowledge that we're not alone, but we've never been alone. Am I talking too much now?
No, I was just listening. I agree with a lot of what you say. That's the same thing. Like I was watching something today, and I thought it was interesting. You know that Project Bluebook. This goes way back in the like 50s.
I remember reading about it.
I remember watching it when I was a kid. Okay, so then all of a sudden it went off the air. Well, it's History Channel's bringing it back. So they're gonna initiate it. I saw a trailer from the series, but they were mentioning when I was listening to this radio show that it was interesting that they're bringing that back, and the popularity of X-Files, which was another one that was canceled, but so many people wrote in, they brought it back. So he was mentioning the interest is there. What they're afraid of is the Hollywoodization, I guess, of a lot of this, because if you look at the movies, and they do that on purpose, is they make everything like body snatchers. So there's natural fear.
Yeah.
And I blame Hollywood. I blame a lot of the shows. And they said that there's very famous cases where they went to make a movie out of it, and it just, made it look like, oh my God, what they did to him or whatever. And they said a lot of that was bull. even the people that came out that had the experience. So I think that's what they're trying to do is, I think the interest is there, but just presenting it, you know, without the fear.
Well,
because if you look at the popular Star Wars doesn't come out like that. If you look at Star Trek, some of them actually, you know, that were more on par with what it was. But then, you know, all this stuff like Independence Day and, you know, them against us, you know, the movie thing, Predator, all that stuff. I think that's where, you know, it's a shame, but hopefully this these are based on real cases. They said there's like 701 cases that have never been, you know, they have actual files that's never been explained. So we'll see how that goes. It's History Channel's gonna bring it back, but I just thought that was interesting.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Star Trek as being one of the venues that basically is not as fear producing. If you look at some of their past, the original episodes, even we know, for instance, now we know that there are energies or entities that feed on our own fears and the fears and the energies from human beings. And Star Trek did episodes like that back in the 60s. And I always wondered, because you know that Roddenberry was a follower of the Kabbalah, right? He was, he was, and so was Isaac Asimov, who I fell in love with his Foundation trilogy, which is, if you sit down with it and make comparisons, it's like the groundwork for Star Wars. And so these are individuals, the ones that seem to have less drama and more reality.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people that have been studying the mysticism. Kabbalah is a level of mysticism. It's Hebrew mysticism, but that's what it is. But if you get all of these mystical, I'd say, journeys onto one plate, you'll see that they are connected there is a point where they're all connected. The language may be different, the traditions that are followed may be different, but systematically, if you examine them, take them apart, you can see where they connect. It's almost like, I don't know, have you seen the sand sketchings of the indigenous American? They are almost identical to the sand sketchings of the Tibetan monks. Now, yeah, okay. And so how can anyone explain that these two different cultures on two different continents have almost the exact same method and the almost exact same schematics for putting together sand sketches? It's just, you'd have to be not even sound asleep. You'd have to be in a coma. To not recognize.
There's a lot of them in a coma right now. So I said, there's a lot of them. They're walking around asleep.
Oh, and
God bless.
Yeah, that always gets my sympathy going, because I feel that's got to be the reason why I cave in, is to assist those who want to wake up, because I know that there are those who don't want to wake up, and this is one of the reasons why, for my own personal preference, I would rather teach someone how to do their own psychic readings or numerology readings than is to have them constantly coming back to me. Oh gosh. No, I've got a lot of friends that are psychics and mediums, and this is a good source of income for them. I have never been able to get behind that because, not for me personally. I mean, yeah, I've taken money for giving readings, and I do give readings, but I'm very, very selective from over the years of doing that. Uh, I used to do the psychic hotline, but I don't. I did not stay with it, and I did not like it for that reason. Because I'm not because I think that anything of anybody, except that everyone has the ability to learn how to just trust your own intuition, your own gut feeling. And the more you do that, the more you are always in the right place at the right time. Even when you're not working on it, you just happen to be in the right place at the right time because you're listening to your higher consciousness. And so, to me, that's, we won't go, because this is not about me. This is about the rituals for sun gazing. Yes. It's about the rituals for sun gazing. Okay. We've got we've got the burning bowl, and I think I'm going to put that on YouTube. I wasn't sure if I would or not. I've been trying to pull it up so that I could um, just turn the camera on it and let people see it. But I think I'll just go ahead and download it onto YouTube as a part of the metaphysical school's lessons. The next lesson that I'm going to bring up will be making of the wands, but I'm going to stick with the program this evening. Okay, so you, in other words, you put your incense together, you get yourself in a state of conscious awareness. Whoa, that's so hot. I've got a little something burning back here behind me, and I'm just checking on that. But you make sure that your focus and your intention are to your liking. In other words, it's positive. You're getting no feedback. You're not hearing or receiving. You're just being. And when you do that, you sit down and write down exactly what it is that you're releasing. Okay. Now, this is a technique that you don't have to wait until the Lion's Gate opens or Halloween, or you can do it anytime. I do it with my bills. Well, hey, set them on fire, release them. And that's something that I notice a lot of people don't do. We don't release that energy. We become attached to it, and then we allow it to turn us gray. So the point is to release it, this thought, this conclusion that we have about something that's going on. And then you set it on fire, and you let, hopefully you're outdoors, don't do this inside, and you let the wind, if it's windy, just take away the ashes. And then you write out exactly what it is that you're trying to accept in your life. And once you've written that down, you do an affirmation. I don't have one in particular that would serve, because I think that really it's best if you devise your own, because you know what it is that you need to let go of. You know what it is that you'd like to receive. You can simply say, I release, or I affirm. I affirm, let's see, my mom had one. I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. That was one of her favorites. And she'd go around the house making us say it. But it was something that she wanted to get into our minds to accept as kind of like on the level of a brainwave. Because whatever you believe, whatever a man or woman thinketh, so shall they be. So once you release this, and the middle of the day is fine, anytime really to gaze on the sun is fine. Just you don't want to stare too long if you just started doing it. Um, but in the evening, for instance, I've conducted drumming circles where at new moon and full moon, where the burning bowl was observed, and of course there was one bowl. There's always usually one bowl when you're in a group like that, and everybody just tosses it in. Some groups I've seen, they have like a kindling going, or maybe just an open fire where everybody just throws it in to the fire. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a bowl necessarily, but if you're doing it by yourself or with just a few people that you feel comfortable with, the bowl is good. Something clay without a glaze on it, so that you don't have a challenge with anything catching on fire that shouldn't be catching on fire. And so this is a way to entrain your mind to accept certain vibrations of energy. Like when I go down to visit John Valentine, I intentionally do that to help me retrain my mind if I feel that I've been picking up on or not letting go of certain things. Because in this culture, not in every culture, in this culture, we basically have been trained to, or have allowed ourselves to be trained into thinking thoughts that are not necessarily, I keep saying positive, but if you do any reading about the placebo effect, or they call it now the placebo syndrome, where it has been acknowledged that people that are taking, people in a research study, and they're taking what is the equivalent of just sugar and compressed into pills, or they might be taking a syrup, but they're being told is guaranteed to heal you, and they become healed. And actually, all they've been doing is taking a spoon of sugar. This, to me, is all the evidence I need that hey, this is what's going on. You tell your mind to do something, and you might get yourself to believe it, and it's done. I don't know if it's still, this story I'm about to tell you is still on the internet, but I remember it was a few years ago. There was a gentleman in India who grew his hand back. His hand had gotten cut off. And what he did was I think it was some sort of accident, factory accident. Of course, it's an accident. You don't cut your hand off intentionally. But he meditated, and he kept at it until it may not have been a hand, may have been a finger. And after that case, a couple of other cases came up. It was on the internet for a while. This might have been back in 2014, 2013, because I was attending a church at that time that some of the other people in the congregation had heard about it, read about it, and we were discussing. But this is the type of thing that we can do. We can do these things. I mean, it's not just a joke. It's not an illusion. You know, that we are in the process of seeing reality. More than one dimension is coming in to vision during this Lionsgate energy. And that's one of the reasons that this Lionsgate energy is so notable, because I think that, what is it? There's 6 planets in retrograde right now. And yeah, and one of them is Mercury. Somebody was saying, oh, at least Mercury is not in retrograde. And then I read something somewhere else like, yes, Mercury is in retrograde right now. And I believe at least 4 of those planets are going to stay in retrograde until the end of the year. This is one of the most powerful timelines as far as connecting all of the energies. And why this is important in a metaphysical school of mysteries is because it is all one. Whatever you consider the mystery to be. Because I'm going to bring up information on Thoth, who presented himself to me to channel. And I'm not channeling him right now, but Thoth is one of my teachers. And the Emerald Tablets is something that I've been reviewing for quite some time. And so I come not as someone who is just talking to talk, as someone who has had a lot of different teachers, both in this dimension and a couple of others. And they are very, very interested in not leading or pushing or pulling anyone in any direction, but simply to open up to the gifts that we each have within us. So metaphysically, spiritually, scientifically, electromagnetically, morphogenetically, it's all one. And we can get to the point where, if it's our desire, to move things with our mind. Everyone can do that. Whether or not it's a necessity in this dimension it's another question. If you don't feel the need to expend the energy, you don't have to. I bring it up as a point of what we're capable of doing. We're not just lowly little humans that are sort of waiting for things to take place or to happen. We are capable of creating and making things happen. And so the information that comes through, whether it's Kabbalah or yoga or it's the Gnostic Christians, it doesn't matter what name follows it. The information itself is a part of who we are. We're remembering ourselves, who we truly are. And this includes recognizing the energy that is available to us right now, right this very moment. We are receiving energy from the Lionsgate, the solar dimension is open for us now. There is, it hasn't closed. The eclipse was just a part of the portal that's available through the Lionsgate. Some people believe, oh, well, it shuts down and ends at the end of August. No, it does not. It will continue. If the truth be known, it never really stops, but it reaches a crescendo on the 8/8 because of where it's placed in the constellation. The connection, Chiron is in retro right now. Chiron is I believe Chiron is an asteroid, I believe. You said someone was viewing the asteroids the other day. Was it yesterday? Cherry.
Oh, the meteor shower. Yeah, that
The
was
meteor shower. Yeah.
yeah, the meteor. The big one that's not due for like I don't know, 15 or 20 years, something like that.
Yeah.
But I had heard about it, and I saw the optimal viewing was from midnight to 5 in the morning. But we're here where you don't have, you've got all the street lights, and you really need to drive out where you're away from all of that. But I guess that's what this group did. And I heard you should be able to see like 60 an hour or 70 within an hour. So it moves a lot.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. So
Fantastic.
yeah, those that did get to see those, quite a show.
Well, we need some photographs of those. And as far as the oh my gosh, the Hollywood approach to the fear and the extraterrestrial, yeah, I don't even think that extraterrestrial is a good term to use, because they're beings.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all beings of light, different levels of frequencies of light, but we're all beings of light. But those who pay for the movies to be made are going to dictate to whoever's putting them together how they'd like to see them. But if you pay attention, you'll see disclosure in every single one, even when it's focusing on promoting fear. It cannot be avoided, because there's so much that is being hidden in this culture, that just about everything that we pick up, anything that we pick up, is going to be a revelation. It's going to be a disclosure, because so much is outwardly kept under wrap. On YouTube, I don't know if it's still there. There is, let's see, a previous Prime Minister of Canada, who, it was some sort of international conference, and he got up and spoke against the government of the United States. Oh boy, let's see how long this video is gonna stay on the air. But he scolded the United States government for keeping its people in the darkness about extraterrestrials. He was like, you guys should be ashamed. Everybody else in the world sees and acknowledges and knows what's going on, and you're keeping your citizens in the closet. I think it was a 30-minute speech. I used to belong to a group called the Intergalactic Federation. They disbanded. I don't know why, but they disbanded. But they always seemed to be right on top of it when it came to exposing what was going on. And they had people sending stuff, constantly. I can't find most of it now, because a lot of it's been pulled off YouTube. But there were pictures sent from cell phones of sightings over the airport in China, being taken by people who happened to be at the airport at that time, and it went viral. And so this group put it out and said, "Do you see any of this in the American news?" And it's like, no. But here, of course not. But here it is. It's coming over on cell phones, and it's on the internet, that this is what they had to close down the airport in China. There were so many of them that they said, well, we'll just, we don't want to put anything in the sky. We don't want to cause any traffic jams or anything. And so no one ever mentioned it here, but it was viral, and this particular group got a hold of it, and they used to send out a lot of stuff. And like the I'll mention the Lyricus group people, who seem to have folded up for the most part. they folded up for the most part. There is, or was, a group that used to meet annually in Arkansas where they claimed that there was, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the group. They used to have a convention every year. This was people from Arkansas who claimed that they were understudied to the point of being abducted almost daily for whatever reason. And so they would have a convention, and there was a medical doctor from Arkansas who had been abducted. She was the main person. I don't remember her name now. She died last year, I think she died. And her followers believed, of course, that there was more to her death than there was. I don't know, because they stopped sending out any type of intel or information. But they would meet every year. It was a large group, and they claimed that there was agencies all over Arkansas and that were assisting the Greys to abduct people. And this is something I thought was fascinating, because nowhere else in the news or anywhere else the press could you find this information. And this group came up with it. They came up with videos of information. They came up with people who claimed that whatever they considered to be as an icon that they followed spiritually, there was a group that could manifest that particular icon right before their eyes and induce these individuals to follow them. Oh my gosh. There's so much stuff out there. There really, really is. And so I always take a spoon of salt whenever I read something. I try and say, well, okay, from what I know so far, what I've read so far, what I've seen and experienced so far, I try to handle it the way they teach us as psychologists, analytically, critically, logically. What is the possibility of that existing? And so here in the States, we're still at the level where people are still frightened of terms like voodoo and craft. And I had heard a couple of comments about the title of the school, a metaphysical school of healing arts. Well, yeah, because it's all about healing. The truth be told, everything is about the healing of our spirit, our mind, which will lead to the healing of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
somebody's made a comment about that. The choice of.
Yeah, that's okay. Not a problem.
Your school.
Oh well. Oh
Yep.
well. It's not Hogwarts. It's not Hogwarts, but you know, I'm not a professor mechanical, but I'm not worried about it. Bottom line, as I said, it's time to like kind of peel back all these different boogeymen. And yes, there is such a thing as genies, and that will be a part of a lesson that's coming up, not to attract them, but to avoid them. I don't believe in attracting genies. I wouldn't use them, but I do know people who do use them. And I know.
Now, you know, they did a show. I just saw it. I think it was over the weekend or something. A rerun of Ancient Aliens. They did a segment on genies.
Ah, okay.
It was very interesting and pulled it out in Arabic, which, you know, it came from that area anyway. But they mentioned that about the whole idea that, you know, you kind of sell your soul. You ask for the three things, but how negative it is.
Well, actually, if are you acquainted with Persian magic?
I don't know. Maybe go. I might have heard about it. Maybe you call it, I'm thinking of if it has a different name, but mention. Go ahead and say what.
Uh, I don't know why it never occurred to it occurred to me, but I happened to be meditating and a situation had come up, and I was given the intel to research Persian magic, and I'm like, for all I know, from what I knew of,
Uh-huh.
I had never heard of Persians using magic. I mean, a magic carpet should include me in. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves should include me in. That there was more than just stories. Every culture has their own way of identifying their mystical experiences. And so I went online and I started looking for literature on Persian magic. And there's quite a bit of it because there is quite a stronghold in magical beliefs in the Persian culture, to the point that even today, if you're living in the Persian culture, that's what, Iraq, or I believe it's Iraq or Iran, you don't want anybody to think that you're a witch. That is grounds for ending your life if it can be proven that that's something that you do. And the belief in genies is very strong there, more than just strong. Uh, there are books, some of them not in English, you have to get them translated, that tell you how to call them up and how to get them to do what you want them to do. Um, people don't mention the fact that Solomon, supposedly, and if you read the 6th and 7th book of Moses, which I've also heard people refer to as a book of magic or black magic or whatever, but it speaks of Solomon and the Ring of Solomon, which is the six-pointed star. And when you go into the six-pointed star, the theory of the six-pointed star is it's actually a part of sacred geometry. The Hebrews and the Jews call it the Star of David, but truthfully, David never claimed it as his star because David also followed the Kabbalah, so did Solomon. And he put it on his shield whenever he went into battle. Usually, is very strategically oriented. He would make sure that the sun was shining on the points and that's da 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 da, so that if nothing more, someone coming at you that the glare is in their eye, of course you're going to take them out because they can't see you coming. But Solomon wore the six-pointed star as a ring, and traditionally, and in the 6th and 7th book of Moses, he called up genies to assist him in the building of the temple. You know, most people that I've connected with that would discuss Solomon's little whatever it was, because that wasn't the Jewish thing that he did there. But he was the one that came up with how to contain them. And in this book, it gives you a forewarning. Don't call them up if you don't know how to send them back, because once they fulfill their part of their agreement, you're stuck with them. And if they're not benevolent, you're gonna have some problems. Okay, so if you need interference in your life that badly, learn how to dismiss them before you call them up, and then once they fulfill their commitment, get rid of them immediately because they're difficult to get rid of once you call them up. I know of at least 2, 3 people right now that are under the siege of these things. I don't call it a siege because these things never completely satisfy whatever it is that you requested. They give you a little taste, enough to keep you from wanting to get rid of them. And then it's like, oh, you can't get rid of me now. I can do this, I can do that. If you go on YouTube, there is a gentleman, because I saved this particular video. I don't know how long it's going to stay online, because I've noticed sometimes people have gone in. I've got a couple of 100 videos. Some of them are just for my entertainment, and this is one of them. This is for my education. This man acknowledges that he made a deal with the genie, and that the genie helps him to heal people. That's why he keeps it around. And in the bargain, his payment to the genie is to allow it to use his body. And I'm sitting there watching this guy, and I'm like, either he's on LSD or he's completely mad. There ain't no way in the world I would let something come through me and it's like, okay, if you let me use your body, I'll help you heal people. Hey, get up. Excuse me. What? What? And I'm like, but he's serious. He is absolutely serious. And he is not someone that I know. I know 3 other people who feel that they made a good deal. They were convinced that they made a good deal, and now they're suffering from it. And they don't know what to do because they're scared to release this thing. And really, we are more powerful. One of the reasons that they come through on that level is because they don't have the power to just take you over if they want to. Not and use you on. You have to agree with them, and there has to be an exchange. And once you do that, once you make that commitment to do that, you're basically giving yourself. You've married into a situation where unless you say, okay, enough, I'm done, you're stuck with it. For the one gentleman, I know he's talking to himself. You know, because he doesn't, he's afraid to really get rid of it. And I even sent out an offer of help to him that, you know, if you will just divorce yourself from this thing, I will help you to get back on track. And of course, being under the influence of it, he just laughed. He just laughed. I could go into more detail, but I don't know who's going to take a look at this later on. And some of the people that may take a look at this may be thinking that it's them. I know that I know more than just 3, but there's only 3 that have actually admitted it to me. In one instance, the thing came to me and said, yeah, I got him, and you may as well hang it up, kind of, and tried to engage me in battle. And so, known to hold my own, that's where the warrior part of me comes in.
I'm just going to say, you're a warrior. Yeah. Get those selenite swords out.
Yeah. Swords out, shields up. You got more than you can chew. You don't even know that. But I know, you know, I don't want, because like I said, I got quite a few friends that still use Ouija boards. And One of the reasons I want John, I would like for John to become a faculty in this, a member of this, is because I happened to hear him while I was under the influence that day talk about using pendulums. And I've
Yeah,
always, I've always stayed shy of pendulums because I know that you have to go through a certain, you have to be very detailed about how you use them. My great grandmother used to make her own pendulums out of a key and a piece of string. And my mom would tell me stories about it. And when I would get into trouble, my mom would say to me, tell me the truth. You know I can get the truth. All I got to do is pull this out and ask what's going on, and I will get the lowdown, so you may as well speak up next. so I was like, but what they did was they held the key over with the string over the Bible, and they would read from the Psalms before and after they would practice it. But my mom was aware of it. She would threaten to use it, but I never actually saw her use it. But she would tell me stories about how her grandmother used the key and the string. And it wasn't until I became an adult and left home that I realized, oh my God, that's a pendulum. That's what she created, a pendulum. And because in other cultures, you don't always use gemstones. Some people use herbs or roots, or some people use crucifixes. You can use anything that you can pull in a point of energy from. And so I would like for John to come on one evening and explain how he uses a pendulum. I've known people to use them. I've been given them as gifts, but I just, I don't feel as comfortable.
He was telling me about a whole book that he has that explains, and I didn't even know there was a difference between the ones that are that you use from string, and he said stay away from the ones on a chain, like they sell in all these new age stores, all fancy crystals and all that, because he said it won't. A lot of times it's your subconscious, or how did he put it? You can manipulate the way it does. Like it's not a true reading, although I've heard that isn't it intention, as long as you clear and seal the space and you're asking it to come from your higher self, to come through for your highest good, the answer. Because actually, that's my daughter was saying about the cards. She goes, really, it's your higher self coming through. You're just confirming what you already know.
Exactly.
So you really, if you're doing it, the right way, you're just, you're answering yourself. Like I think that's what it's trying to do is I always heard that it teaches you to your intuition to come stronger. And after a while, you don't even need it. Because I asked him that. He said, I just do it to confirm, but I already know the answer.
Exactly.
Like, it's
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I
was always leery about the kids playing with them. And, I don't know. It's just, it's kind of the Ouija board kind of thing. I always kind of stayed clear of it too.
Well, again, we are that powerful. And right now we're like little babies that you put in those little walker things and walk around and try and start walking. Because if we could remember how we manipulate these energies, we could manipulate them and manifest things on a correct level. There would be no incidents, no accidents, no genies or any other energies coming through. We would be able to just go and do it right. I had a client that she used to call me and to get readings over the phone. And while she sat on the other end with her pendulum. And when I realized it, I said, look, why don't you just keep with the pendulum? Because she would always go, oh, you're so spot on. You're so good. You're spot on. And I'm like, you know what? You don't need me. Just sit with the pendulum yourself. You don't need me. And she would be, but you confirm. And I said, that's the whole point. You already know what you need to know. And you don't need me to confirm it. Just go ahead and do what you got to do. So, as far as the string is concerned, I don't know. They say my great grandmother was very accurate in what she did. People would come to her to find out if they were pregnant and what the gender of the child was and that kind of stuff. And I, I I never tried to test my mom on her abilities. I just took it for granted that she knew that you know. I just like, okay, I'm not gonna mess with that one because she got all these things going on. But that's one of the, come to think of it, my Reiki mentor used to, that's how she confirmed that she had activated the opening of the chakras in the palms. And your Reiki, when she was teaching, when she was doing the Reiki initiations, she would confirm it with her own pendulum. Let's see, I've had at least 3 or 4 different Reiki pendulums given to me on the chain. Uh, one is amethyst, one is uh, oh, different gemstones. I don't remember all of them now, but I don't use them unless, you know, spirit says, okay, you should use that for this if you're not certain, and then I will do that. But I try to, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm here, is to assist people who want to try and use their own abilities from within, because that's where it comes from. The answer is within, and we don't need genies. We really don't. We can do whatever a genie would do for us if we would align and focus on the work from within. But for some people, I guess genies are like a quick fix. You know, they don't have confidence in their own abilities, and it can present itself as a quick fix if it gives you a little morsel, you know, something, you know, you win something or something of that nature. And so you feel like, oh yeah, you're working with that. And so, but no, I would never work with them. Uh, my guardian angels and spirit guides know I give them a hard enough time identifying themselves when they come up. I'm not lending over to genies, no. But Solomon was the one that started that legend about putting them in the bottle. This is where, and if you've, I don't know if you've come across it in some cultures, and this is a good thing to remember during this particular time of the Lion's Gate, the vessel of water, salted water in the house, the water draws spirits. It draws energies. It draws whatever is floating around that don't belong there. They go into the water. And so some people, they keep a vessel of water for a week, some a month, some toss it every day. I come from a lineage where there was a lot of readers on my mom's side. And whenever we would go for a session with whoever was giving the reading, there would always be a glass of water. Is my glass of water back here? With the candle, next to the candle. So whenever whenever I would give a tarot card reading, I would always have a glass of water next to the candle. And just wherever you're burning candles, you should have a glass of water next to it. If you pay homage to your ancestors, you should keep a glass of water in the vicinity. And I was told this by a shaman from Peru. And she said that is because you're supplying them with your energy. They can pull your energy and cause you to feel fatigue. So what you want is for them to go into the water, and then you get rid of the water. And this is why baptisms take place in the spirits. Water is, we know that water is alive. Okay, but Solomon did that. He put the water in the bottle, and got the genie inside of the bottle, and then you put a cover on it. In our household, if we left a liquid out, glass of water, something we were drinking overnight, we were not allowed to drink from it the next day. We had to throw it out. And the reason we were given to throw it out was because there was probably a spirit or an entity in the water. And so in our house, if you're drinking a glass of water before you go to bed, like some people do, they keep water by their bedside, put a cover on
Like
it.
people cover, yeah, a bottle.
Yeah, put a cover on it, because they're kind of like, oh, a receptacle, someplace where I can go. And I'm making light of this, but people, this is the way I was raised. And it's one of the reasons not until now I talk about this stuff. When I was younger, I didn't, and left home, I was like, everybody wasn't raised like I was. What's with that? And so there was a lot of stuff I wouldn't say. And now I think I've reached a point where, who cares? It's just, I'm going to get it off my chest. Sometimes my sister, she's gone the opposite way. She's more 3D oriented, but my brother remembers a lot of stuff. And we confer on some things that I'm like, do you remember? And he goes, yeah, I remember that. And so I know I'm not nuts, because I got one other at least that remembers what I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah, but yeah, you keep the water covered if you're gonna have it, And I do that with the bottle. Like you got, if I know I'm gonna get thirsty in the middle of the night, I roll over, I uncap it, take a swig, and cap it back again. Force a habit. You don't let. You don't. And so, but I found that.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, except, and John has the same book, we were talking about the gem water. I've infused water programmed it with crystals, but you have to leave it open. Like you put it in it has to be a crystal glass so the energy can get through it. And it has to be, really, really good, like high pH water, good water. But when you've got all the crystals and you set the intention, I think that doesn't allow that energy to get in there, because from everything I've read, it has to be open.
Well, if you consider the fact that the gemstones themselves are alive, okay, the crystals are alive. We know that the water is alive. It's openly receptive to whatever energy you put into it. Because if you direct negative energy towards it, Dr. Imato proved that you can change the biochemical structure of the water by your thoughts. So if you entrain or program the crystals and the gemstones and then put them in the water, it makes sense that they would be able to hold back whatever is coming through. Yeah, it's all about the frequencies of the energy.
Yeah, which is the same with bath water. You can put your crystals in there too, and and you could feel that, and you could feel out of the water. You put your hand over the glass, and you could feel it. So I'm sure that's but I agree with you on I do the same thing at night. Take a swig and put it back on.
It's not superstition if you consider the fact that everything is alive. The water is alive. A grain of sand is alive. Everything is a part of the living structure of one source. And one source is not, well, I don't see one source as actually as negative or positive. It is what we call to ourselves. That's my opinion. What is it? It says in scripture, God reigns upon the just and the unjust. And waves and waves of energy. And that's what's coming through right now. Through this Lion Gate. Part of the eclipse continues on and on. Shift that we're going through right now. This is about the waves of energy that it's not bombarding us. It's supposed to take place because we are not just three-dimensional beings. We don't die. Okay, our souls are immortal. What does that tell you? My goodness. In the Emerald Tablets, it tells you that not only are your souls immortal, but you can take your body with you if you so desire. To get to that level of that understanding of the energies and the frequencies of the energies, you have to do some work from within. Investing in genies is not the way to do it. So this wasn't even the genie segment, but when that comes, oh my gosh, because I'm gonna make sure that it's recognized. That will probably be very unusual. I feel sorry. Yeah, I feel sorry for people that feel the need to call upon them, but I guess people.
Well,
have to,
it's like, yeah, I was gonna say it's. I was just gonna liken it to the bypass. You know, there's people that rather go out and get a gastric bypass than exercise and lose the weight. It's just, you know, an easy way out. And like you said, rather than do the work and manifest it yourself, they'd rather do the, you know, call on something else.
Is that why they do the gastric bypass, so they don't have to exercise? I would think that exercising would still be required. No?
No, I think after, yeah, I was going to say, that's pretty drastic surgery. And I watched someone go through it. My husband, actually, he passed away last year, but my husband's a good friend of his did it. And I think I think it gets to the point that they would rather go in and do a drastic surgery. And I agree, there's some of them that is life-threatening. They, you know, have had maybe a stroke or, you know, can't walk anymore or something like that. But I do think there are a lot of procedures that are done that just, it's the quick way out, but has a lot of drastic consequences. Anyways, that's just what it reminded me of, is, you know, a quick version rather than do the work, like you said, and train yourself, or not even train, it's remembering. It'll come back. And so they'd rather call on something else.
Well, I've had
ayahuasca, but that's a whole nother story.
I've had people, and I've heard people say, why do I have to do any work? Why can't somebody just come along with a magic wand? And I'm like, see, I can't get with that. I would not.
It's not.
I wouldn't want somebody to come to me with a magic wand, because
not only that, but the whole game. I don't call it game, but the whole way it was set up is we weren't supposed to. It's supposed to be a struggle. What's it supposed to? None of it was supposed to come easy, or we wouldn't have learned anything. That's they got to do the work.
See, to me, I guess maybe I'm a nerd. I like to know how things work. Okay, I mean, it's nice that it can be presented to me in a package, but I want to know, okay, how was that arrived to? What was the diagram, or what was the plan? How did, and I'm just at someone being presented with magic walk. You don't. It's kind of like, what was it my mom used to say? You don't know where his hand's been. I mean, right? You know, so in every surgery, I've had 3 in my life, and I sit down with the doctor and I'm like, look, show me what you're gonna do. Let me see what you say you're gonna put in me. Can you guarantee me that after you do all this, everything is gonna be fine? I won't need to come back. And if I don't like the way they sound, I'm like, you know what? Have a nice day. And so it's just, yeah, I can understand. For a lot of people, things can get bogged down to the point where you're like, if somebody would just come and give me this or move that, but then you miss the entire process and you end up in the same situation again, because you didn't learn how not for it not to get to that point. That's me, though. So don't pay me any attention. I am going to sign off
Okay.
because I don't.
Whoever was,
Yeah.
I got part of that too that said, "Oh, thank you, I'm going to be on." I don't know who that was, and we didn't.
Yeah.
It was me and you.
Yeah.
But that was the way it was meant to be.
I know. I know. Okay. Well, those who desire to be here, we're here. Actually, remember, we're talking frequencies of energy, so that it doesn't matter if it had just been me talking. It would be the same frequency of energy going out, because this is a venue where energies are felt. Okay.
Yep.
All right. The vibrations of the energy as it goes out. So whoever needs to feel this or know this information, it's there for them. And as far as the universe is concerned, this information is out there. We went over a few things besides the rituals for the Lion's Gate. I trust that anybody who would watch this or anybody who would be attracted to this would know how to clear themselves before they did anything, would not be afraid of the word known as magic, because magic and energy and frequency and vibration is really just 3 different ways of saying the same thing. And if you do the work from within, you can access all of that, and you won't need to call upon genies or make contracts with genies and other energies and this and that and all that other stuff. You don't need them. You don't. Let them go into another dimension or stay over there, wherever it is that they stay. You don't need to bring them into this dimension, even though they would like to be in this dimension. But you are the one that has the power to go through, what is it? I believe there's supposed to be 17 different dimensions that humanity or man can go through without a challenge if they desire. So do the work, and we will present you with lots of information on whatever work it is that you want to do. Don't, however, promise anybody that they can use any part of your body for anything. Okay? Don't do that. Nothing. I don't care what they offer you. What is it? One of the genies said that your firstborn child. No, don't. Just stay focused and be one from within. God bless. Om Shanti Shanti. Namaste.
Namaste.
Good evening. And to every soul, everywhere, may you be blessed with healing and understanding. May you always be aware that the light is always within you. Namaste.
Namaste, Sharon. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sweetie. Good night, my loves.